if you try to do
Yeah,
things. Ha!
right. Last honk out of the year.
It's the last honk out of the year. Oh my God. And it's number 38,
Yeah,
is it?
that's
So
pretty good.
considering a year has 52 weeks, we've been quite good
Yeah,
with this, actually. We've been online a lot.
that's a lot
Nice.
of hours. That's probably close to 19 hours, almost 20 hours of honk out.
Yeah. Are you going to watch it in your holidays?
Like,
It's
if you
kind of
want to
like,
do a marathon with your family,
it's like, people do this Harry Potter watch parties where they watch like one movie until like the last movie. You could do it now with Honk Out. Potentially, I would still argue the Harry Potter would take more time. Still,
probably.
I think if you watch all of them,
Yeah.
but maybe we're getting close to it if you watch all Honk Outs in a stream.
So the funny thing about this stream is we both thought it was about different things. And so we can try to merge those two things into one stream.
But before we start, Brad, I had because it's the end of the year and
Right.
it's like our 38 streams, I have a game prepared for you. I have two categories. I think the game is called this or that. So I would say, for example, JavaScript or TypeScript, and you quickly have to select the one that comes to your mind or the thing that you would associate most with. I don't know if it is always the one that you would pick, but it's kind of you choose one. And it also has some of the stuff maybe that we've done this year that reflects some of the Fiberplane stuff, Fiberplane culture, and only 20 and we go quick. So are you ready?
20?
Yeah, it's quick. It's really quick. We will be gone. I think the aim would be to have them in the minute.
Okay. All right. I'll go fast. Reflex.
Okay. Cool. JavaScript or TypeScript?
That.
Slack or Discord?
This.
You can also repeat. You can just repeat
I say the one that I want. Okay, so TypeScript,
yeah.
Slack. All right, now I understand. Slack.
Amsterdam or Berlin?
Amsterdam.
Dried mango or stroopwafel?
Oh, stroopwafel.
Cursor or Claude?
Oh, Claude.
You can also say skip if you don't want to say something.
Skip that one. Different tools.
Cloudflare or Vercel?
Cloudflare.
Goose or Duck?
Goose.
MCP client or MCP server?
Ooh, MCP client.
React or Angular?
React.
San Francisco or Las Vegas?
San Francisco.
All variables named X or all functions named do something?
Oh, pass, skip.
VS Code or Vim?
Or what?
Vim?
Oh, VS Code. Still VS Code. Yeah.
Git or Jujutsu? JJ?
Git. Yeah, Git. I can explain later, but Git.
Queen Amam or Cardamom Bun?
Oh, Queen Amam.
ChatGPT or Gemini?
Ooh. ChatGPT.
Full stack app with Hono or with Next.js?
Hono.
MCP tools or MCP resources?
Tools.
No version control or no documentation?
No documentation.
Light mode or dark mode?
Dark mode.
MCP evals, LLM-as-a-judge or code evaluation? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
LLM. Okay, that went 20.
Oh, okay, that went fast. Let's keep going. 20 more.
20 more. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
it's the heart rate up.
You wanted heart rate. Yeah, I think the last one is a good cliffhanger to what I thought we are going to talk about. Because I thought we talk about evals and you can do the LLM-as-judge or you can do the code evaluation. And I was thinking we are talking about the code evals, but no, we are not.
We can talk briefly about code evals. But yeah, I thought we were talking about evaluating code mode, and Nella thought we were talking about code scorers for evals. And so that's what the title is, code mode scorers for evals.
Yes.
Which I was going to say, hey, I think we need to change the title. It's just code mode and evals, and this explains a lot. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about code mode. And I think those things happen if I quickly ping you on Slack, like, hey, should we talk about? Or you say we can talk about. I'm like, okay, sure. And then I make an assumption, and then the assumption is wrong.
Yeah. All right. I think we can fit both in. I'll make code mode kind of quick because there's a couple caveats. So I'm going to share my screen and go into do not disturb mode. And code mode. All right. Do you see my code mode?
We see the article, the
Okay.
one from Cloudflare, the blog post.
Code execution with MCP. All right, cool. So these are about a month and a half apart. They're 2 blog posts. The first is by Cloudflare, late September. The second is by Anthropic, early November. And the premise is exactly the same. So Cloudflare calls it code mode. Anthropic calls it programmatic tool use, I believe, in their API. Okay, well, it's not. Code execution with MCP is another way that they call it. Code mode sounds better, so we're going to call it code mode. And so what is it? Why does it exist? What does it try to solve? The premise here is that MCP, what it does under the hood is it like sends a bunch of tool definitions to the server sends tool definitions to a client, and then the client is responsible for like wiring together those tool calls in kind of a loop where it's like execute tool, get result, send result back to LLM to analyze it, and then go back to LLM to possibly execute another tool based off of that previous result. So you can parallelize tool calls, but I'll give a good example right off the bat where this can go awry is like if you had a tool to read a spreadsheet, but you only care about a couple of rows, all of a sudden it's like, so say you want to extract 5 rows from that spreadsheet, but you don't exactly know where they are, and then you want to use that data in another tool call. So the downside is the first tool call to get the spreadsheet loaded the entire thing into your context window, just so that you could find 5 things, and then your next call that uses the data from those five rows proceeds, but in your history, your conversation history, you still have that entire spreadsheet. And so you've eaten up a bunch of tokens, and that's not great. It also turns out that LLMs are not particularly good at tool calling like that, but they're extremely good, as we've learned, at writing code. And so what Cloudflare proposed, and they like built some infrastructure specifically to support this, which is still in beta, is that you take all of the MCP tool definitions, and then you make like an API client out of it, and then you let the LLM write scripts that invoke the tools. Instead of calling the tools via normal tool calling, like this is what it looks like under the hood, you end up with a script. Where is this? Do they have it here?
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. I don't think they have the exact what a script looks like, but we'll see it in a bit. You end up with like a JavaScript script that has an API, and that API under the hood just shells out to the MCP server. So this will make more sense in a second, I promise.
It's basically the LLM writes code to call the tools from the MCP server, right?
Yep. And then
like
in the MCP client, it executes that code, and anytime in that code that it calls something like client.getWeather, under the hood, that script stops. Outside of the script, you make the actual call to the MCP server, you get the result, and you put it back into the script. And that allows things like if you wanted only to filter, like you get a spreadsheet and you filter for like fuzzy matches on like one of the columns, then you can do that in code and not eat up your context window. And then you could actually pass that, like those results, into a future tool call. And that's one of the kind of examples that they give in the Anthropic blog post, is like this data analysis part of you already have an LLM that is very good at scripting and analyzing things in code. So let it do that, and then kind of just use the outputs of one tool as the inputs to another tool without making another round trip to the AI provider. So yeah, that was the whole thing. Intermediate tool calls consume additional tokens. And so if you can skip those intermediate tool calls and wire them together, then you end up in a advantageous spot for token usage. What this looks like for us, so this is not shipped. Oh, is this? Yeah, okay. This is not yet shipped to production because we're waiting for the underlying way that we implement it to come out of beta, just because it's a better guarantee for users. But on a feature branch, I have, when you run an evaluation, so in this case, this is just a simple eval for an MCP server. This is a little bit of a contrived example because I didn't have anything with like massive amounts of data to sift through. The eval here is, I want you to set my location to office for all of next week. I only have a default scorer here. We can tie together our two themes of code scorers by also implementing this scorer here.
But like, I think the scorer to check if tools have been called is probably also implemented in code, right? So that's a code scorer already.
Yeah, it is already a code scorer. But it's only checking. Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So if yeah. Were you about to say something?
Then I forgot now. I wanted to say something, but now I'm staring at this and I'm like, okay, you go for code mode, you go first direct mode.
So I'm going to do direct mode first. I already ran these just in case the demo fails. We're going to see some interesting results here because there's some caveats to code mode. So like, code mode is very good for workflows where you're stitching things together. But in my experience, and maybe like we need to implement it better, but from my initial tests for simple use cases where you only expect like one tool call at a time, you're adding a lot of complexity for not much lift. Like,
I mean, in the two things that you run earlier, you already see that the direct mode was a little bit quicker than the code mode, right? So you already see that it took a little bit more time for simple things.
Yeah, and I'm also not totally, this is confusing to me.
Also uses more tokens.
It uses more tokens, but it costs less. So something's going wrong here. This is like I said, this is a feature branch. So like I have to look into this because what's happening under the hood. Okay, I'll show you direct. What happens here? We have, so what I asked it was like, next week I'm working from the office. So in this case, it makes, 7 tool calls. Maybe I would expect 5, but that's fine. And it looks like it does parallel tool calls in this case. So that's nice.
But wait, why does it do 7? I would also expect 5 Monday to Friday for each one, right? Or
yeah. So what's the 23rd? What is the 23rd? The 23rd
is a Tuesday.
Okay, it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th,
26th,
27th, and it's doing it for 2024. Look, it's doing it for 2024. Okay,
so we don't know which weekdays I don't know, but it definitely also includes Saturday and Sunday then, right?
Yeah. So it says Monday through Friday. So this might be a good example. So this is where it's really critical to like look at your outputs. So right now with our scorer, this is passing. I would not call this a pass, but this is also like we're thinking of the agent behavior a little bit. Okay, so let's run this in code mode now, because I have a feeling it's going to do better, and we can look into why. So it'll probably take about 10 seconds. What else can we see here? So yeah, Monday, December 23rd. So that's, there we go.
Last year.
It
last
really
year.
thinks it's 2024. I love that. Okay, so if we go into code mode, and again, we have not shipped this yet. If I go to, well, yeah, first things first, you see that one tool was called, and it was the code mode tool. So there were not 5 separate tool calls in the way, but you can see the nested tool calls down here.
And it's actually only 5.
And it's doing better. Look at this.
Yeah, it's doing only 5. Nice. Is it? Oh, now the year. Which year is it taking?
Well, so it looks like in this set status, boom, 2025.
Oh, wow.
December 22nd. If I go to the transcript, so what we can see is it'll show you the script. And I'm sorry, this is kind of truncated. We're like I said.
But yeah, actually, it's getting the current date, right? So that's why it's getting it correct, and it's not making an assumption on it. So it's just like, okay.
Oh, this ended up being a much better demo than I thought.
I mean, it's literally taking the date from the code from the system, which should be somewhere in 25, hopefully, unless you have your system settings to an earlier year.
Actually, do we have? Okay, no, I wish I could show you the description of the code mode tool somewhere so that you have a little insight into like what's going on. But for what it's worth, so what it does is it writes this script instead of directly calling the tool set status. It writes a script and it knows that inside code mode, it can call code mode set status and pass in all of the arguments you would normally pass into an MCP tool. And
Nice.
we get that because MCP tool is exposed in schema, so we can convert that schema into like a TypeScript type. We can let the LLM know, hey, you have this API that has this shape, it expects this kind of data, go in script. And with that, I love it. So like it programmatically looks for today's date, and then it increments it until Monday, and then it does only 5 days.
Which is cool. I mean, it misses kind of that we have Christmas holidays, and it should ask you, are you sure you want to go to the office on Christmas?
That would be a good eval.
That would be a good eval.
So cool. Yeah, that's I would say that is a perfect example of where you let the LLM think in code and it thinks better. Yeah, very cool.
Very nice. Even though, but I think you mentioned it's getting even better if you have like a chain of operations, right? So code mode even shines more when it's not only about you look in the expected tools, but then also you might have different evals for the code mode.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, well, another interesting thing is, it makes all of the calls in sequence here, and then it puts all the results into, like, it aggregates all the results of the tool calls. I think this probably has to do with how you prompt code mode itself, but like you could give it guidance to like parallelize when possible. Because I think one strength to this is that ever since parallel tool calling became a thing, I'm guessing all these executed in tandem instead of sequentially like in the code mode script. And that's could explain the 2-second difference between them, but neither here nor there.
Should we quickly look into the scorer when you define a scorer in code?
Yes.
Just that we cover both topics.
Yeah. So let's try to define a scorer that would make this fail. And so let's see here. There's a lot of ways that we could consider this a failure. I would imagine we only want 5 tool calls. Like there's one thing which is like we would only expect 5 tool calls. There's another thing where, what's that?
Yeah, for a week we would expect 5 tool calls because Monday to Friday and not Monday to Sunday.
Okay, so that's simple enough. Let's make a scorer that says, all right, expect 5 Ooh, sorry if you heard that. Tool, or no, expect n tool calls. Okay. And you can type it in a normal way. I don't know why I did it in like code, but it's a code one, so I want to do the like make it look like
you like camel case, so that's okay.
Yeah. Also, by the way, syntax highlighting works in production. It doesn't work for us locally. I have a bug for it. But if you made this in production, you'd have a nice syntax highlighted script here. What does this score evaluate? So
number of tools calls.
Yeah.
Or number of...
If tool, we'll say tool name was called n times. And so this has nothing to do with arguments yet. We could expand it a little bit. But in this case, I'm going to use AI to generate the scorer. So I'm going to put right here, though, and we'll see why this is relevant. Expected.toolname was called expected.n number of times. We're going to hope this works. Oh, I wish I had syntax highlighting. I should really fix that.
But that was really quick.
I know. We're using fast models. Okay. So this is awful to read. I apologize. But the critical thing here is we have this expected column, which we'll see in a bit. And so that's going to make this a more flexible scorer. So the expected will be an object that defines a tool name and a number of times. And then what the scorer does is it looks at the output, which has something called all tool calls. And then it filters for any with the tool name. And then it checks to make sure that the number of calls is exactly equal to n. And if it is, then it returns a 1. Otherwise, it returns a 0, which would be a failure. So we're going to see if this works. But to wire it up properly, we go to our eval, working from Office next week. We edit this, and then we have to fill in the, we should add some AI for this as well. We have to fill in the expected value, which would be, we want it to be called 5 times.
And the tool name
is set status, which also I would love some autocomplete on the tool name.
Wait, don't you have to, the key, is that not tool name?
Or you're right. Good call. So yeah, we have Jaco, colleague, and I have talked about putting schemas for the expected, which then would give you like type ahead or IntelliSense inside of the code scorer editor as well. You could validate it before it runs, but that's a whole undertaking. Okay. So expect n tool calls, tool name is set status, n is 5, save changes. And then if I run this, I'm going to try to get it to fail, but we'll see. Run it in direct mode.
I mean, it should fail now, right? Because the last time it called the seven times the tool. So let's see.
We'll see. These things are non-deterministic. Oh, it failed.
It's failed.
And yep, 5 times. So yeah,
do we see in the scoring that we see what we wanted, right? The expected stuff. We don't see the actual. Do we see somewhere the outcome why it failed?
So the why is, yeah, that's a good question. So with an LLM score, it will explain why. With a code score, the code is supposed to explain why.
Yeah,
so you would kind of be left to your own devices to go back here, which again, this is syntax highlighted in prod. And actually for funsies, I want to see code mode, start run. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is, so like we also show logs from your score. So if you console log in a code score, you will see those statements here, which could be useful for debugging. It's like, if you're kind of like, wait, why is this happening instead of that? You could log the information in there. I think it would be nice probably too if we added the actual inputs, but theoretically,
it would be like Or would be like you have the expected as the name and the 5, and then the outcome, the actual outcome would be different. So if we could print that, if we would say the expected were tool name, set status, and 5, but the real thing. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like the real name.
But it's tricky because it's not a direct comparison, right? So
Yeah.
like, okay, actual in this case, yeah, I see what you mean. So expected is tool name, set status, actual, then, but you would kind of need to, I'm trying to think of how you would programmatically do this. So like, you would have to define logic of what the actual was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to go and look into the output, right? Into the output script.
Because this is what's weird. It's not like a
Yeah.
test where you're comparing an object to an object, although you can do that. Like expected, maybe we should change that name. Typically in evals products, like expected is this column that you can put any data, and that data serves as a reference point for whatever happened during the eval. And so in this case, like it's extremely flexible, but it gets confusing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, also, like if you wrote the eval, you know what you like, you know, kind of what you want it to be, and you should guess it then by yourself if you see the 7 tools.
Yeah.
And now, well, the code mode shows and excels again. It only called 5 times.
Yep. And yeah, I guess of note here is, yeah, there's like, when you write the scorer, if you're also evaluating code mode, you have to take into account, so you would look at this like all tool calls. It's in our docs, I'm forgetting now. There's a difference between tool calls and all tool calls in the output. And the reason for that, it specifically is for code mode, because code mode is like nested tool calls. It's like, in actuality, the LLM really called a code mode tool, but that code mode tool called set status 5 times. And so we, in one of these data structures, we kind of show it as nested, and then the other, we show it as flat. And so luckily, the AI-generated score is aware of that and was capable of filtering for the correct, filtering on the all tool calls, which I believe is the flattened list. Hopefully that wasn't too abstract, but yeah. Cool.
Cool. We covered both topics.
We did.
In the end. We did.
And with time to spare, I do have a meeting in 2 minutes, so.
Perfect. So we just stop on time. So that's it for us from this year, and we see you in 2026.
Woo!
Whoop.
Bye.